All right, he's sharing it to YouTube for me, y'all.
Yep, it says it's now streaming live on YouTube.
So, you know, techie people doing what the techie people do.
So
OMG, I need to learn how to do that.
YouTube for me, y'all.
listening. Bye guys. I just want to see you guys' face.
Live on YouTube. Got the notification.
Bye,
Techie people
Yep,
do.
it says it's now streaming live on YouTube.
I need to learn how to do that.
Okay. Add that to your list, Larissa. Add that to your list.
YouTube. Got the notification.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a test, like have a test run of it.
Hold on, hold on.
Now there's lots of feedback again, echoes.
Larissa, add that to your list.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Is that
do
because of YouTube?
like have a test run of it.
Hold on, hold on. So I'm gonna need to.
Feedback again.
Okay. Say it again, Kirk. Okay. Do you got the stuff to get in though? Do you get? Okay. All right then. All right. All right. Woo, child. If it was left up to me, that would not be happening. So Mr. Tech is gonna get on because you know he's the one he's the main one in the hot seat today. He's the main one in the hot seat, so he's gonna sign on. And in the meantime, I'm gonna show y'all how to rap. Listen, I left my hair like this because I was like, let me show them how to do the rap, because I don't want anybody to ask me, Tamara, why didn't you show us how to do the rap that you did this morning? Okay, let me see. I think I got all of that on. Did I mute it? No, I didn't.
Somebody needs to mute their second device. Mute your second device.
Thank you, Larissa. Okay, so I just put the regular, this is the second one because I'm doing two today. So it's a regular one and I tied it to the side. So it's kind of tied to the side because I want a sideways design today. So I'm gonna tie it 2 times. So I did it 1 time already. And when I tie it the second time, I'm actually just making like a little knot because I don't have any hair to hold it onto. So the knot is gonna help hold it. And I'm just wrapping this one around. Boom.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kirk.
Good morning.
Where
How's everybody doing?
Where are you? Singapore?
Morning, Mr. Techie. It looks like you're on the
Good
beach.
morning, Mr. Kirk.
Yep. I'm on the beach.
Okay, so second one. I'm gonna put the second one over this first one, but I don't want it to go all the way down. I just want it right here. And then I'm gonna tie it around the last knot, the knot that I just did. Oop, oop, oop. Okay, let me get this off of my screen. Perfect. And then we're just gonna wrap because I want to be able to see like some of this right here. So I'm holding the bun and a wrap. Try not to wrap my ear in there. I like to have the fringes all over. So I'm a fringe kind of girl. And then this one, I'm gonna wrap it in the opposite direction. And you could twist it if you so choose to, but I'm gonna wrap it in the opposite direction. And that's it. We'll pull that out. And I can't even see it big. I can only see it small this morning. Okay, because I see all small. And that's it.
Cute.
And you just fix it however you want it.
A good thing to have nowadays in our no haircut.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do today. Sideways. We're doing the sideways today. Okay. So let's get started because Olivia got things to do. She can't play with us all day. She cannot play with us all day. So we're going to get started. I'm going to put up YouTube. Let me see if I can see comments on YouTube. Yes, I can. So I can see comments on YouTube and I can see it on here. So the main reason that we are all here today, and then we're going to pray, is because Mr. Techie came in like a wrecking ball on the morning tea, as y'all know, because that's why y'all here. and started a whole conversation. And so the conversation came into, what women need, what women wanted from men, etc. And the question was posed out there. So what is a husband? And what is a husband supposed to do, right? What does a husband do? So that was Mr. Techie's homework, to do some research, because I'm not sure if we ask the men in our lives, what is a husband? What's a husband supposed to do? If they're going to be able to just kind of say, okay, this is what a husband is, and this is what a husband does, right? And know what their role is, right? They need to know what their role is, because if they don't know what their role is, they don't know their goals, they don't know where they want to take their family. We women who are supporters and multipliers, how are we going to support? You don't know. We just going to take charge. We just going to take over, because you have no direction. You don't know what to do. And so we want to kind of get into a point where the relationship is a partnership, and not a one takes over, and the other one is just following aimlessly. So Mr. Techie, that is your homework. Can you go ahead, Kirk, and on YouTube, are you logged into YouTube too?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, Larissa, are you logged into YouTube as well as on Zoom?
Yes, I reposted the link.
Thank you, Pookie. I know who I can count on. Y'all see this? You got to know who to call.
I also posted the Cash App too, so we can send love offering for our guests. And then please go ahead and give that thumbs up, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Larissa. That's great. So we're going to say a word of prayer, and then we're going to have Mr. Techie read to us what he wrote. We are not here to judge him.
Is that how it goes?
But just to learn. Also, if there are any other ladies whose the men in their lives wrote anything and they would like to chime in, just let me know in the chat, and then I can go ahead and call on you, and you release your mic and you say what you need to say. So let's pray. Father God, we thank you for giving us the opportunity today to come together once again. We thank you for this beautiful day that you have made. Help us to rejoice. Help us to be glad in this day, no matter what it might hold, Father, Lord. Help us to be prepared for the things. As we come together to have this talk today, give us clear minds, give us open hearts as well, Heavenly Father. Give us peace, give us patience, give us contentment, and give us a calm spirit today, Heavenly Father. Help us to share freely and openly with each other, and help us to be able to listen and not just talk. In Jesus' name we ask, and we thank you for Olivia, who's come on to be here to guide us as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Mr. Techie, the floor is your own.
I didn't realize this was the format.
Oh, okay. You born ready. You ready for this? You ready for this? You born ready.
Am I really? Okay.
Yes, you're ready for this. You could do this. You the man. Come on.
All right. So I did some reading and some I don't want to call it research, but I did some reading, and I came across this joke. So I'm gonna start with a joke.
Is the joke gonna get you in trouble?
No, the joke is not gonna get me in trouble. So the way it goes, it says there was a story of a man who died and went to heaven. And when he got there, he saw two signs. One that read, for all those men who have been dominated by their wives, stand in one corner. And for those who dominated their wives stand in a second corner. And looking at the line where it shows the men that were dominating their wives was an extremely long line. And the line that says who was dominated by their wives had no one but one gentleman standing in it. So he went over to the one gentleman and says, well, weren't you the head of your household, or weren't you the head of your wife? Why are you standing in this line? And the man responded and says, well, my wife told me to stand here. So that segues into how I view my relationship with you. And it's always from a standpoint of who is the lead, who takes the lead, and who is the leader. And I guess I'm always on that border of, okay, I give you the lead in certain things and I take the lead in certain things. Whereas based on what I'm reading, the man takes the lead regardless. And when we say the lead, not necessarily, well, okay, I am dominating or I am the owner of, but more from a standpoint of for guidance and leadership. And that was kind of, I guess, reading it, and in the different ways that I read it, it kind of like, it highlights one of our issue is I am more passive in terms of, oh, she got this. There's no need for me to get involved. Whereas even though I don't want to be involved, I should still be taking a leadership role in what needs to be done. A leadership role in the household, a leadership role in the maintenance of the kids, taking care of the kids, the raising of the kids, a maintenance role in your direction. And I know for a fact that, again, like I said, that is one of our biggest, the biggest difference that we have is I see that, oh, I don't need, you got this. I don't need to be involved. And I think that is where you see me dropping the ball most, because you want that leadership, you want that guidance. So that's one thing. And I guess the thing that I've been reading, and the three things that comes up more and more is, as a husband, we should provide, not only financially, but also, again, with leadership, guidance. We should also be the spiritual leader of the house, since the Bible put it as we're the priest of the home. We should manage the home and lead the home like Christ instructs us to, as he would have said, as he loves and leads the church. A man should love and lead his family. And the last thing is, again, just being the overall leader of the house. Decisions should not be made without the, I guess, consultation and input of the father. Not saying that he has the ultimate decision in yay or nay, but things should definitely go through, because he's responsible. You know, he's responsible of the household. So making sure that he understands and knows what's all the business of the house is important. And I'll stop there for right now. So.
Okay.
Ms. Tamara, can I jump in here?
Yes, you can.
All right. You know, that's the one thing I've always liked about Kurt. You tell him to do an assignment, I tell you, he goes and get all the right answers. And then you have to wonder, why don't you do them? Yeah. You hear men, you talk to men, you hear them say, well, I know I need to do this and I should do that and I got to do da 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 da. But as he said, I know my wife is going to do it, so I just sit back. And the thing is, if you know as a man that that's what you're supposed to do, then do it. Women want you to do it. You just won't do it. You say she got it. Women are strong people. We get things done. We have to get things done. So we ain't got time to sit here and wait on you to decide to do it. We have to get our stuff done. So if you know that you're supposed to take this role, if you know what you're supposed to be doing, then why don't you do it?
So my answer to that is, Tamara, please don't kill me. And I guess I'm just being upfront, right? Is we have this quote unquote pissing contest on who is, oh, okay. Let me rephrase that. It's more along the lines of who wants to be right, and it's like, okay, if I need something and it's not being fulfilled, then it's, well, okay, you know what? Because she don't want to give me this, I'm not gonna do X, Y, Z. So it's more along the lines of trying to get even. You know, and hold your mouth, Tamara. Hold it.
No. I was just going to say, I see Cindy and Georgianne shaking their heads in the background. Go ahead.
Lashes.
No,
it shouldn't be that way, though.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said it shouldn't be that way, though.
It should not, and I take full responsibility for that. I take full responsibility for that. It should not, but it's selfishness. That's basically what it boils down to. It's like I am sometimes, most times, unwilling to give in because it's like, okay, why do I want to give in if my needs are not being met? But on the flip side is, if you are following the teaching of God, you should give regardless, right? You should give regardless because that is what he expects of you. And I don't know if one of the things, well, I'm sure it's one of the things that I need to do is to dive into the word more, understanding what that means, what is expected of me, not only as a husband, but also as a follower of Christ. That could be the biggest difference right there. Just being more obedient to the word.
You know, you said two good things, sir. And Georgiana, I see that you had your hand raised over there, so I will let you speak in just a moment. But you said two good things. One thing that you said is that, and I'm probably going to forget the second one, is that selfishness. And I think that a lot of people, if we were to be honest, we realize how selfish we are after we get married. Most of us think of ourselves as selfless people. But when it comes to getting married and you having to give of yourself to your spouse, you know, he can go get his own water. She can go do this. Why are you always asking me to do stuff? What's wrong with your feet? What's wrong with your hands? We don't realize how selfish we are a lot of times before we get married. And the other thing is that the one thing I keep telling men in general, and Kurt, I'm not beating up on you. You're just the only man up here. Is that saying that happy wife, happy life it has a lot behind it. And the reason it does is because women are designed to be nurturers and givers. And men are supposed to want to be respected. If a woman is happy, she will do anything for you. Even women that are with men who are not doing the stuff they need to do, but if he can keep her happy, she will give him the shirt off her back. Men keep saying, why do I have to make sure she's happy? Why can't I make sure I'm happy? It's about us both being happy, but you're not going to give me what I'm going to give you. No matter how much you do, you'll never give me as much as I'll give you if I'm happy. When I'm happy, I can go work all day long and come home and cook your dinner with a smile on my face and then give you some at night because I'm happy. But when I'm not happy, it's a chore. I have women doing it's a chore when I'm not happy. But if I'm happy, you can get anything you want. And men keep saying, why I gotta do that? Why I gotta do that? Why I gotta do that? Because you have to stop being selfish. Men are more selfish than women. Women are not very selfish people. We get selfish when we feel like we need to protect ourselves. If you're not taking care of me and I gotta protect me, oh, you can't get nothing up in here. You ain't getting a darn thing. So when you talk about I'm not giving because I'm not getting, you don't get because you stop giving. And the thing is that you guys are supposed to be partners in your marriage. And I keep telling couples, I say, think of it as not as your spouse, think of it as your partner and your friend. When you're dealing with your partner and your friend, if they ask you for a glass of water, and ladies, you guys can comment on this, but I can promise you, when your girlfriend is there and you guys are hanging out and she said, oh, can you get me some juice when you go in the kitchen? You say, sure, no problem. You don't say, well, she can't get up and go get the juice. But if your man who has not been making you feel happy says, can you get me some juice when you go in the kitchen? You like, you was headed to the kitchen before I was. What's the problem? So these are some of the things you have to look at. Georgiana, you had something to say. She says no.
You kind of touched it.
Okay.
You really touched what I was about to say. But I wanted to ask Mr. Techie a question. Hey, y'all stop calling me Georgiana. I know it says that. Don't look at that.
Oh, okay.
I'm Diamond.
Diamond, okay.
Mr. Techie, my thing is when you guys act needy when you want to be, but when it comes in your benefit, when you want something, yeah. But she made a great point. As Jamaican said, what fattened labor? What is that, Tamara? The saying about encouragement, fattened labor, or when you want somebody to do something, you're kind of, she's not answering. Okay, so my point is, as she said, if you love on us, we'll do whatever. We'll give you the shirt off our back. It comes with ease because I want to be safe. I want to be loved on. And in fact, we're doing our part as a woman. And then when the man I don't want, what I'm going to need you for if I got to do your part too? That's not, to me, I'm with myself at that point. So what I need you for, am I wrong to think that way?
No, I think you're right in your statement. I guess, and I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak for anyone else.
Right.
It's more from a standpoint of, okay, if I throw out the word love, right? If you're claiming that you love me, then why is it a case where I have to do something to get something?
Because maybe that's my love language. If you don't know my love language, first of all, because I might be the one that just to love to receive and acknowledgement, accolations, whatever. You might be one that just want to spend quality time, or you think that's your love. It depends on the way you express your love, or what. I think that each couple should learn each other's love language in order to make things work. If you don't even know what I'm talking about, we can't even conversate then. Because if I said, I thought that was marriage, what marriage is about. You want a whole different aspect, but I'm thinking because we're in the same culture, you should understand that. That's wrong for me to assume that. So we have to have that dialogue of, how do you love? Or what do you think love is? And I think that will be the first step for us to figure out how to treat one another.
There's those online assessments too you can take for that, so you can figure out each other's love language if you don't know.
Correct. And I mean, we've done all of that. We've done the love language assessment. I mean, we've had multiple sessions. I mean, we're part of marriage group. I think. Sorry, Olivia. Let me just say one other thing. I think one of the biggest issue between or biggest issue it could be is communication. You know, how do we communicate and communicate effectively? There's a lot of times that we're on different plane. She may be in a season where she is listening and I'm not speaking. Or it's a case where she may be speaking and I'm not listening. I wholeheartedly believe that if we were to communicate better, openly, that we can speak and understand what is actually going on, what are the issues. Because I mean, for the most part, we get along great. But then there may be a issue that we attempt to speak about and it just goes all wrong. And once that happens, it's like, okay, boxers, get into your corner and don't come out until, you know, you feel like it, whatever that is. So it's in addition to several other things, I think for us, it has to start with better communicating skills.
Communication skills is very important, but one of the things that you said is that, and I'm going to touch on that first, is that why do I have to do something to get something if she says she loves me? And that is a perception, as a point of view. You don't have to do anything to get something because somebody loves you. You do something because you love her. It's not about what you're getting. It's about you expressing your love for her. So you do something because of that love, and she is going to do back because of that love. When guys say, okay, when you're dating, you take them out to dinner, you take them out to movie, and you expect to have sex, you know, and it's like, I ain't getting nothing for my money. I thought you took me out to dinner and movie because you wanted to get to know me. You wanted to find out who I was. I didn't know this dinner and movie had something else attached to it. And in marriages, we take that same thing. We will attach something to stuff in our marriage, and it should not be attached. I do because you are my spouse, period. What you do for me is what you do because I am your spouse. But if you take the attitude that I've always got to do something to get something, then you don't want to do anything. That's the first thing. Secondly, when we talk about communication, people talk about that so much and it's extremely important, but I also remind people that it's communication and perception. If I say, wow, you cleaned up the house today, I'm amazed. If I have been feeling some type of way and you say that, fight. Thank you. We're going to fight.
Gloves are off. You can't even ask for mercy. You dead.
Right. But what you say to me later on is, oh, I meant that as a compliment. I missed that compliment. In your mind, you were saying, oh, wow, you clean today. I'm amazed that it looks this good and I appreciate it. I didn't get that, you know? So my thing is, my perception is, wow, he thinks I'm just a horrible cleaner. I finally clean up and this is what I get. So we have to think about, right, goes right over your head. You're like, I missed all of that. But if you come in and you say, oh my gosh, the house looks so amazing and I love it when you clean up. It makes me feel so good. Then I might clean up again tomorrow. Oh, okay, Diamond is saying she don't know about that.
No, I was shaking my head because I would love to hear that one day.
Okay.
because it's something that you do every day and they know that's what you do, but they don't. To me, if you appreciate it, tell me. I need to hear that. That's my opinion.
Right.
But you know I do that.
But you need to hear it the way that you can receive it. You don't need to hear, oh, the house is finally clean. That's awesome. That does not make me feel like cleaning.
So Olivia, what if when the woman speaks to the man and every time we open our mouth, they receive a negative message, like what you were saying? What is that? How can you fix that? I'm telling you, how can you pick that up? What you yelling at me for? I said, no, can you pick that up? The way I know it's the way you say stuff, but if their mind can't process and it's always negative, how do you deal with that?
Now, that's a very good question. It's a very hard way to deal with that because it means you have to do some researching. When that happens, you have to stop and say, what did you hear me say? Because you might have reminded them of the way their mother talked to them or their ex-wife talked to them or some girlfriend that was abusive to them. So you have to ask, what did you hear me say? And they're like, my husband, for example, we get into that all the time. I'll say something and he's like, I'm not your child. I'm like, I'm so happy you're not. I don't want you to be my child. I'm like, what did you hear me say? He says, it wasn't what you said. It was the way you said it. I said, how did you hear me say it? Because I said, honey, do you mind putting that back in the refrigerator? And this is literally a conversation, guys. He had taken the milk out of the refrigerator to make cereal. The milk was on the table. The table is here. The refrigerator is here. The milk was on the table. I had no problem with the milk being on the table. In my mind, when I got up from the table, I was going to put the milk up. He goes to the refrigerator, opens the refrigerator. He's standing in the refrigerator with the door open, looking in there for what I don't know because he just finished eating. The milk is here. The refrigerator is here. I said to him, oh, can you put the milk in while you're in there? Do you know we had a 30-minute argument about that? Now, he was nice enough not to do it right then and there. But as soon as I came upstairs, his thing to me was, why did you tell me to put the milk in the refrigerator? I'm like, huh? Like, because you were standing in the refrigerator and the milk was on the table and needed to go in the refrigerator. So you didn't think I was going to remember to put the milk in the refrigerator? I know I took it out. It had nothing to do with the fact that you took it out. That was the farthest thing from my mind. What was on my mind is, here's the table, here's the refrigerator. You're standing in the refrigerator doing nothing. Keep it milk in there. I told him, I said, if it had been on the counter on the other side, I would have never asked you to put the milk in the refrigerator. I would have just put it in there when I got up. But it was here. Why is this an argument? Because what he told me when we continued arguing was he thought I was treating him like a kid, that I didn't believe he was going to put the milk in, that he was the one that took the milk out. So therefore, I was telling him what to do. I was like, you got all of that from, can you please put the milk in the refrigerator? So sometimes you have to, and as we continued, we argue and then we talk. As we continued, he was like, well, okay, well, I guess I can see that. But it took me about 35 minutes to convince him that I was not trying to control him or treat him like a kid.
That's a big one. That is a big one, because men tend to feel, based on how something is said and what is said, that it's coming from a stance of control. You're trying to control me, and I'm not going to be controlled. So you know what? I am either going to open up and make this a big issue, or I'm going to retaliate. And when I say retaliate, more from the standpoint of, well, she's not a boss of me, so I'm going to do what I want to do.
But why do men feel that way with their spouses? Anybody else can ask you to do anything. You have no issues with it.
Because that's the one that most of the time we're more vulnerable to.
But that's not the one you're opening up and talking to.
Correct, because we're more vulnerable to.
And there lies your problem. This is the paradigm that we deal with.
Yeah.
Because the one that you should be opening up to, the one that you should say, hey, you know what? When you tell me to do something, instead of asking me, it makes me feel some kind of way. So when I say, put the milk in the refrigerator, then I can see you feeling some kind of way. But if I say, honey, can you please put that in the refrigerator? Why do you feel the same way that you did if I said, put it in the refrigerator? because I lose on both stands. I just lose. I'm in a lose-lose situation. How do I now get out of my lose-lose situation if every time I open my mouth, you think I'm trying to control you?
So how do you, I'm sorry, I don't have my visual. This is Larissa. How does, because I'm a wife in training. So how do you ask your mate to do something? Because if you say it too sweet, then you may be condescending. So like, how is somebody supposed to say, hey, sweetie or honey, can you do this or do this for me, and not feel like somebody's talking down to you or being, I guess I don't understand.
And you know what? Don't feel bad, Larissa. Most women don't understand because men like to do that kind of stuff. But the one thing that I always recommend is that you go back and you have a conversation. Like I said, with me and my husband, it became a whole issue, and I had to talk to him till he understood where I was coming from. The one thing and my husband just is one of those people like Kirk who wants to be difficult. There are some people who are not difficult. You tell a man something and he gets it. I have a client who said to me after we continued talking, he says, I get it. He said, when my wife says something to me, before I respond, I stop what the words are and I kind of look at them and say, she's not trying to hurt me. She's my wife. She loves me. So when she said, honey, can you put the milk in the refrigerator? Even though in my ears, because of my perception, I heard her trying to control me, her trying to tell me what to do, her talking to me like I'm a child. She's my spouse. I don't think that's what that is. And then he's able to receive what she says. I was so amazed when he said that. I said, you know what? I'm done with y'all. Y'all got it. No, men won't do that. They won't do that. They have to see all the negative things. And then we have to go back and say, none of that was what I meant. I was not trying to treat you like a child. I was not trying to tell you what to do. I was not trying to control you. I just wanted the milk in the refrigerator. And you were the person that was there. If somebody else had been there, I would have asked them. You was the person. It had nothing to do with that. So you have to continue to talk to them. And for women, it's hard because I know for me, I like to shut down. When they start doing that foolishness, I ain't got time for you. But I have to tell myself, I gotta keep talking to this man because I want to stay married to him. This is why so many people are divorced these days. Because you're like, I could do bad by myself. How many women say, I don't need this? Like you said, Diamond, if I got to do your thing and my thing, what's the point of having you? There's no point. But the thing is that if we really want to stay in these marriages, especially as women, we have to make sure they get to the point that they understand. A lot of men have been disrespected growing up. They've been mistreated. They've been told that they're not going to be much, Now you get some of the ones that are really out there that's like they think they're God and they're God's gift to women, but the majority of them are not that way and they're fragile. And the thing that women have to realize is that men are fragile. We think that they're supposed to be tough and all this stuff. They're fragile. And when they get with you, they want you to help them. And that's what we have to do a lot of times is help them grow. And even though they want you to help them grow, they don't want you to know that you're helping them grow. Craziness.
See, that's why I love you, Olivia.
Okay, so
you don't hold it anymore, right, Tamara? You just gotta let it down. Go ahead.
I'm not. No. Tamara is not in the judgment seat today. Tamara's not even going to kill you today. This is amnesty zone today. So I just want to point out that someone here on the YouTube chat that says, of course, and we got to remember that this conversation is not indicative of all men. We're not addressing all men. We're not talking about all men. We're talking about just kind of a general consensus of what would usually happen in certain cases. We know that, like Olivia also stated, that the way people were brought up, the culture, situations, past relationships, all of these things have a role to play in how a person's mentality is when you come across them in life. And so the struggle can either be longer, harder, softer, different because of the place where you met them and decided that you want to take on that responsibility at that point in time. So we are not talking about all people. We are just having this great conversation. And I'm sure if we see a raise of hands right now, most women here are connecting. This is connecting because they're experiencing some part of some of these issues, if not every single one of them, that's happening right now as well. And we are talking to my husband. This is my stubborn man. That this unreasonable dude that y'all see right here that I got to deal with. This struggle buddy that I have to struggle with. Okay, for the past how many years? 21. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. But that's his thoughts and his opinions, and he's learning just as I'm learning as well as a wife, right? And so we've got to note that his experience and his journey is different, coming from where he's coming from, because there's a whole lot of coming from in the background of that. So we're not trying to say this is all men or all situations, period. So with that being said, I want to touch back on something that Kirk said and Olivia addressed, and I know that we all on here can get with love. Kirk said, if she loves me, then why do I need to? Oh goodness. And so here's the situation with that. Number one, what is love to you? And I believe Diamond touched on some of that too. What is love to you, first of all? Is love the feeling? Because some people think of love as just a feeling. And so if I don't feel it, then it's not there. It's not love. Is love, what is it? So love, really and truly, we have to understand that love is a choice. We are choosing to love on people by our actions, and then you can add anything you need to, Olivia. We're choosing to love on people by our actions. We're choosing to love on people by the words that we say towards them. We're choosing to even love on people by the things that we ourselves refrain from doing, right? Because I love my husband, I won't call him something crazy in public, right? Because I love my husband, I won't go in public dressed like a skank. Because I understand that he needs that as a respect. Like when people look at his wife, they need to see a certain thing, right? Because that's a matter of pride for him. So love is so much more than just a feeling, because when the feeling of infatuation or the feeling of I like you, the feeling that makes you want to snuggle up to the person, when all of that is not there because you two are having this disagreement and y'all are at an impasse, what keeps you together? It's not a feeling that keeps you together. It's that commitment that you guys are making to each other to be on the struggle bus no matter what. We on the struggle bus until one of us dies, and hopefully it's not one of us killing each other. Okay, we on that struggle bus. So it's a commitment as well. I love how it was also put, because this puts it in a different mindset for me, and I'm hoping that it kind of helps Kirk as well and others, where Olivia, you said making her happy is for your happiness. That's me paraphrasing it, right? Mm-hmm. Making her happy is for your happiness. And the reason why my husband won't most of the times make me happy for his happiness is because, number one, he's selfish, and he knows this. He's extremely selfish because he wants me to go first and to put more in. Well, guess what? If you don't put anything in me, I can't give you nothing because I'm a multiplier. I multiply what you give me. So if you give me nothing, you don't have nothing to give. I go with Diamond because you got to give me the right things. You can't just be throwing diesel on me because my engine's going to break down because I'm not a diesel car. So you got to learn about me, give me the right things. When you give me the right things, I'm going to drive all the way to India for you, okay? When you service me right, I'm going to do that. And so by you loving me the way that I need to be loved in actions, in words, right? In the things that you do or don't do, then you are in return loving your own self. And I love the way the Bible puts it, because God says that we got to do, God tells it to you exactly what it is, right? He said Christ gave himself up for her. So it's not necessarily a sacrifice because me loving you shouldn't be a sacrifice. Me loving you should be a joy. Me loving you should be a, oh my goodness, this is the partner that I have chosen, and I'm gonna love him until he can't take no more love. I'm gonna love him so much, right? It should be a competition between us to see who can love each other more, who can love each other better, right? And that is the whole for me, the whole purpose. If like Diamond, I can do better on myself. Let me tell you something. I need a partner who's going to be all in loving me like I'm gonna be all in and loving them, even if at times I have more energy to love than he does, and at times he got more energy to love than I do. We will understand that there's an ebb and flow in the relationship, and so when I'm strong, I can take it for both of us. When he's strong, he could take it for both of us. And that goes back now to what Kirk originally said, that the man is needed in all situations for guidance, leadership, to provide. Dude, protect us. You got to protect us. We women love a man who can protect us, not with a gun, but we need to be protected emotionally. We need to be so protected spiritually. We need that. And once you start feeding us the food and the nutrition and the things that we need, oh my goodness, you don't have to ask for nothing, because we're going to anticipate that you need, we're going to study you and know what you need, because we're going to be eager to please you. But until you get and understand, or most people get and understand that, hey, I really have to give her until she is overflowing with everything that she needs. And in order for me to know what she needs, I got to understand her. I got to understand her. I got to understand her thoughts, her fears, her insecurities. And I got to not be a source of that insecurity and that fear. Because then we go back to what Olivia said. We get selfish because we feel that we have to protect ourselves, and we should not have to protect ourselves from our spouses or whoever we are in a relationship with. We should not have to protect ourselves from them. And then someone in the chat says communication without aggression. Oh my goodness, I can say that I can be aggressive in my communication, but communication without aggression as well. So I hope you are taking notes, Mr. Techie, over there as well. So Olivia, any thoughts on, that, bringing that to the role of a husband? Because I think a lot of that covers up some of the role of the husband. And I love how Kirk says leadership, to provide that in all things, even if he's not the one making the final decision.
That was a really good sum up, and I'll go back to something Kirk said in the beginning. And I think if more men took this to heart, and again, as you said earlier, we're not talking about all men. We're really having a conversation with Kirk right now and talking about men in general. This is a generalized, and we know that they're just like there's some really good women and really good men, and some that are not so great. So we know that they go through the whole spectrum. So this is just being very generalized. It's not being specific for everybody. But one of the things that Kirk said earlier when he was talking is that men are supposed to treat their wives the way they're the head of the household, and they're supposed to be responsible like Christ is to the church. And when you think about that responsibility, Christ is responsible to the church, whether the church is doing what it needs to do or not. He is not saying, oh, well, when she becomes a better church, then I'll save her or I'll bless her. He's not saying that. He's saying, this is my responsibility. And I think that if men took that on as, when I married her, I took her from her parents to come to me. I am solely responsible for her. I'm responsible for making sure that she's not hurt, for making sure that there's nothing bad happening to her. And I need to make sure I'm not the person doing it. If the men can take that and run with that and treat their wives the way God told them to, then I think a lot of the problems that we have, even in communicating, would not be as much of a problem, because we have to look at it from, how should I see what she just said? How should I hear what he just said? And not, oh, this must be this, because we are beat down. Our homes should be our safe havens. Our marriages should be our strong points. Our marriages should build us up so much that we are totally different people than we started when we first got married. That's how they should work. They should build us up. There are so many people that get married and their marriages make them worse. They're depressed, they're sad, they're anxious. But it's not the way marriages was meant to be. So when you're thinking about being married, and when you're talking about being married and you're in the fight, Tamara said, it's a committed thing. Love is an action word. And you're right. You both should be tripping over your feet to see who can show the most love. And we don't do that. So we have to be really careful about what we project. We have to really think about what we hear when someone is talking to us. We have to look at it and be like, I know this woman. You guys have been married for 21 years. So when you look at her and she says something, by now you should be able to say, she's not trying to hurt me. It's not to make me feel bad. It's not to undermine me, because she's still here. We've been together for this long. So when it sounds like it's undermining you, you have to have the internal talk in your head and say, well, why would she want to undermine me? Why would she want to make me look bad or feel bad? I don't think she would want to do that after all these years. So I need to look at how I feel about that statement and why do I feel that way? And it could be something as simple as she sounded just like your mama when she said that just then. And now you're like, okay, it resonated something inside of me. But once we become aware of that, then we can change that. And too many times we don't take the time to become aware of what our triggers are in our marriage, because we get triggered in marriage and we don't think about the triggers. We just, she always talked to me like that. Oh, I hate the way she talked to me. Oh, I hate that she don't do this. Oh, I hate. And you're like, why do you hate that? Why does it bother you? Why is it an issue? You know, I know for my husband that he has a really big issue with being disrespected. Extremely big. So almost anytime I say something and it sounds like I'm being aggressive, even if I'm not, he gets totally defensive. But I know that stems from his life before me, you know? And so a lot of times I have to catch myself and I have to stop and say, what did you hear? What did you think was being said? How did that sound to you? And then we talk about that. And once we talk through that, then a lot of times it's easier for us to get back on the same track. Yeah. I tell my husband, I told Kirk beforehand, he and I have this thing about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. All right. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So my husband is not that person. My husband is the person who, and we have a fight, Kurt mentioned earlier, if he has a fight, or him and Tamara are doing really good for a while and then something comes up and everything goes sideways, in his mind, this is horrible. This marriage is horrible. It can't work. We can't do this, because they had a fight. They had an argument or a disagreement. I'm the same way. My husband is like, it's a fight. Get over it. We're going to fight, you know, and we have to realize that we're going to fight. But you fight because we're two different people trying to get on the same page. And a lot of times we don't just get married on the same page. And a lot of times when we get married, we haven't had the right guidelines and we haven't had the right information to start us out so that when we get to 21 years of marriage, we've gotten it. A lot of people don't do this until it's too late. If you're aware of what's happening in your marriage and you want your marriage to do what you need it to do, then you both have to commit that we're going to see what these triggers are and we're going to figure them out. And you can do it with each other. All you have to do is be willing to talk through it. Yeah. If you're willing to talk through it, you can get it done.
Cindy, did you have something to say?
No? No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, so let me ask this question, Kirk. I want to ask you a question. What is your, I guess, what is stopping you, or what do you think is holding you back from taking the leadership role as the husband, from taking that, where you talk about providing that guidance in all areas, not just the one area. Now, besides the fact where you look at it as, oh, she's got this. What is it that inside of you that says, okay, even though she's got this, I don't want to be involved in it, versus let me go and be the overseer a little bit. Just let me go ahead and cover her, right? So what is it in the different areas with being the husband, with being the father, when it comes to the kids, when it comes to taking care of y'all, because my husband don't even cut the grass. My husband don't cut the grass, y'all. He pays somebody to cut the grass. I've got 4 men in the house and they not one of them want to cut the grass. Tamara got to be out there cutting the grass if she want to save some money. I don't want to pay nobody $60 to cut no grass. Okay, do you know how long? How much? That's a whole new planner. Okay, 60. Hold out.
Look at Techie face. He's like,
yes, yes. So when it comes to, you know, certain things, it's like, what do you think is keeping you really and truly, not the surface answer, but if you dig a little bit, what is really do you think is keeping you from taking that leadership role that you need to? Remember, there's spiritual intimacy leadership role, there's a fatherhood leadership role aspect, the provider for the house leadership role aspect as well. Okay, go ahead.
So, you ready for the answer?
Yes.
And you and I have spoken about this before. There are multiple reasons. It can depending on what it is. It can be from a standpoint of I just don't want to accept the responsibility of that particular action. So it could be from a responsibility standpoint. It could be from a know-how. I know to do this, so I'm going to attempt to do it. And there is a part of me that, silly as it is, I would prefer not to attempt than to attempt and fail. So there is a retraining of my mind. There is also the fact that not having a role model that I can look at and say, well, okay, this is what a father's supposed to be. This is what a husband's supposed to be. So it's a combination of several things. There's no book on what a husband should be like. We never read a book. We never got the counseling when we got into this relationship. So there were things, like Olivia said, that I brought into the relationship, brought into the marriage. Some good things, some bad things, some things that still lingers to this day. But a lot of it has to do with the responsibility, taking on that role, not having the know-how. You mentioned cutting the grass. Yeah, we have lawnmowers. We have, how many lawnmowers have we had? We have the weed whacker. We have all of those things. But there's some things, and I always remember a statement that you made. Those that know why pay those that know how. And I go with that. So instead of me aggravating myself with cutting the lawn, why not pay somebody to cut the lawn? And I know that can apply to certain things, and there are certain things that it should not apply to. But it's the responsibility. Do I want the responsibility of doing X, Y, Z? And based on our personality, based on our personality, you are more forward. So it's like, okay, she gonna get it. She gonna handle it.
Diamond's about to light a fire.
Why do y'all do that?
She just bursted out of her skin. Go ahead.
Let me tell you, Diamond, and then Cindy, and then Olivia.
Hold up. Because y'all know that we're gonna get it done, I swear personally that y'all just sit there and be like, I'm just gonna provoke her. Y'all act like children. Y'all, if I ask you to do something, you're gonna mess it up the first time you do it because you know I don't want you to do it again. I might as well do it myself. Why? Why do y'all do that? You know that she want the grass cut. Why don't you just cut the grass? But you gotta pay somebody to cut the grass. But you're the man of the house. Now how do you change the crown when you want to? But when you should, you be like, ain't you supposed to wear the crown all the time? Because you're gonna come back and tell me, but you the woman of the house, though.
No, but let me ask this: Is it a matter of I am doing it, or the fact that I get it done?
But I asked you to do it.
Which is more important?
But I asked you to do it, though. Oh, sorry, we are arguing like it was me and you.
Okay, so number one, Diamond said it's because we asked you to do it. All right. So number one, But okay, look, Kim up there, like Kim shaking her head. What's your response to his question, Kim? What's your response to the question, Kim?
About if he should pay to cut the grass, or have
right?
You should not be cutting the grass.
I'm sorry. Say it again. I didn't hear you.
You should not be cutting the grass. But
Kim
I guess
says
he should.
I shouldn't be cutting grass.
Right.
Okay, because I got 4 men up in this house.
Oh yeah. The boy that you take to work every day should be cutting the grass. Why, I guess that's the deeper question. Why aren't they helping cut the grass?
Why aren't the children doing it? The man should tell his boys
to do it.
to cut the grass. Okay. And
But-
you know
but
what?
I
I'm
guess-
with Kirk. If he don't want to cut the grass, don't cut it. You got sons. Make the sons
Right.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if that's the case,
You'll
the kids
prepare
probably
them.
look at him like, Dad didn't do it. I ain't gonna do
It
it.
don't matter. He a kid. Do it.
Okay.
That's
You
it.
heard
You
that.
ladies
That's
got it
it.
right there. Exactly. You got it
You
right
the
there.
parent.
Exactly. So
You
if
the
you don't
parent.
want to do the grass, that's fine. But you have 3 male children.
Yep.
We bought, listen, ladies, y'all know I told y'all already, I'm the tool baby. I got my craftsman, and it really need to be craftsman and craftswoman. I went and bought myself the lawnmower, the front propel automatic. That thing rolled. Oh my goodness. Weed whacker. Why aren't you out there teaching them to do it? Put them on a schedule to do it and say, boys, your jobs is to make sure that this lawn is cut. There's 3 of you every 2 weeks. Y'all need to cut the grass, edge it up properly. Your mother should not be out here sweating in the sun trying to either teach you how to do it or be out here doing it herself. And you people up in here sitting up with your foot cock up a drink lemonade. That
Check up
not,
the whole
yeah,
grass.
so that's the larger problem right there.
That's part of their pay for
the accent came
the
out.
household. Teach them how to do it.
And what I was going to say was, I believe that the reason why he's so hesitant, because Tamara, I believe you're a strong woman. You have that in you. And I guess he said, okay, my wife, I have a good wife, and my wife is going to get it done. So
done.
Kind of, you know,
Back
sit in the
way.
back. Right.
Yeah.
Because he knows his wife is not going to be lax. The wife gonna clean. She gonna paint. She gonna spackle. She gonna do everything. She gonna rip it up and put it back. You know.
But Tamara, I guess the other thing is, did you tell him you don't like cutting the grass? So to be fair.
Yeah, he knows.
Okay. He knows.
That's why he's so quiet.
You already, you know I done said it like 15 million times.
But
No,
you know,
to
you
be
hit
fair,
on
to be
I have
fair,
a question. So
I say that.
somebody.
I say that, okay, the lawn guy is going to come and cut the grass. Why are you having someone cut the grass? Because I don't want to do it. I mean, yes, I do have my sons that can go in the yard and cut the grass. But like me, like myself,
so it's full.
My kids don't like outside, right?
So
You don't have a choice.
I remember growing up. And the worst thing my mother could have told me is to go in the yard and do yard work. I hated it.
Mr. Techie, take up all the grass. Just take up all the grass outside the house. Just take just finish this. Just take up the grass.
I hated going in the yard to do anything in the yard. And I had to do that almost every day. So that was like a sore spot for me growing up. So it's okay, I experienced that. And in a way, it's like, okay, my kids don't like outside, so I'm not going to force that upon them.
And ladies,
yes, it could be bad, yes, but that is my train of thought.
But that's a good point, Kurt. And this is a learning point, ladies, because he said, and I'm sure that they've had this discussion before, but what he said was, I don't like doing it. And I did not like the way I had to do it. I was made to do it growing up. So as a man, just like we do when, you know, some people say, I'm not going to spank my kids because I got spankings all the time. I'm not going to do this because I did da-da-da. What he has decided as a husband is, I didn't like it as a kid growing up. I hated it. It did something to me. So I don't want my sons to have to experience what I experienced. So I am willing to pay to have the grass cut. So we have his point. But on the other hand, we have Tamara who says, why am I paying somebody $60 to cut my grass when I got 4 men in my house? Somebody should be able to cut my grass. So now what we have to do is we have to understand what Tamara's side is. And Tamara's side is, I don't want to spend the money out if I don't have to, because we do have the resources to do it.
So we can buy a planner.
Right.
Right. And maybe the kids will like it.
But then they may like it. But the thing is that he has taken the opportunity, and this is what I don't know. Has he had the kids go out to cut the grass? Has he shown them how to do it? Or had even the person who comes to cut the grass, let them cut the grass or watch with them? Or as Tamara says, she takes them out there. Because it may be that you do have one of those kids who really enjoys cutting the grass, and they might not mind being outside. Or if they all just really hate being outside, then that's when Tamara has to say, okay, Kirk is paying for the grass to be cut. Then we're gonna let Kirk keep paying for the grass to be cut, and I'll stay here in the cool house myself. Or Kirk pay me the $60. I'll go cut the grass because I don't mind being out there cutting the grass. So since you didn't mind paying for it, I'm the person you're paying for, and now I don't feel as bad going out to cut the grass. At least I'm getting something from it. So those are the things that you look at and you have to figure out. I think, Tamara, that Larissa wanted to say something. I had a question earlier.
Yes, Larissa has a question. Right before the question, Larissa, I would like to add, one of my major things is this: teach your children skills. If they choose to use them at a later point, okay, fine. Teach your children skills. If your child does not like to cut the grass, okay, listen, we got 3 of them. One of them is allergic to fresh cut grass, so he's not going out there to cut the grass. So that is something that I understand and I will accept. However, what I want more than anything else is my boys to be men and to know skills that they will have. And if they choose to use it or not, that then okay. Kirk says earlier he did not have a role model. Okay.
I was going to ask you
because you don't eat vegetables, it does not mean you cannot train your children to eat vegetables, because it's good for them. It's nutritional. These kids need these skills. Can you imagine you have generations of people who don't know how to start up a lawnmower? They cannot, like, they don't make money like you make money, but they still have to pay someone to cut the grass because their father never taught them the skill, their grandfather never taught them the skill, and they're not enough to say, let me go on YouTube and learn how to cut this grass. So the major thing for me here is I have 4 men in the house. There is no reason that once a month or once every 3 weeks, they can't take turns and go out there, especially the 2 boys, and cut the grass. You give them $30 every time they go out there and cut it instead of giving somebody else the money. Let them put that money in savings accounts. Let them put that invested for their future. Do something. But just to say, because I don't like it for myself and it's a skill, then that means I would refuse to have my children learn it. That is where we really, there's some things I understand completely. Yes, we can agree on it. But there's other things that I'm like, no, you can't handicap your children in today's society. You can't do that. And that's
Tam, were you aware
for that role?
Were you aware that he felt that way though, Tam?
Yes, we talked about that. We talked about that. I listened to that from him. And that's when I said, well, if you don't like it, teach the boys how to do it. Let them be out there doing it. You're the head. Instruct them, go and cut the grass. This 2 weeks is your turn to cut the grass. Next 2 weeks is your turn to cut the grass. And this is how you take your turn for the boys. Be that father and give them that instruction, right? That's why the tools are here for them to do it. It's like you having a dishwasher and the dishes always piled up in your sink and you paying somebody to come into your house to wash your dishes, even though you have a dishwasher, because, my children, I never liked washing dishes when I was growing up. And so my children, I will never teach them how to wash dishes. Ridiculous. And so we talked about that. I understand that for him, but then he also did not take the time to understand and to say, okay, Tam, let's teach them the skills and let's make sure that they take turn to take care of it as they get the grass still needs to be cut. and I still got to either cut it or this be looking like a forest. And he doesn't even pay somebody on a regular basis. My grass be looking like a forest outside. I got to take a picture the next time, and before he has somebody come and cut it.
But Tamara, did you? I heard what she said. She got what you were saying. Did you get what she was saying about the importance of your sons having a skill, the importance of them, spending that $30 or something? Because sometimes money motivates kids and they hate being outside, and all of a sudden they want to be out there cutting the grass.
Mm-hmm.
But the question becomes, and this is what happens a lot of times, women will listen and understand what the man is saying, and the man will not take the time to listen and understand what she's saying. There's a need that she has that you are not taking care of, because your thing is, I don't like cutting the grass. They haven't had an interest in it, so I'm not making them do it. So sometimes when we have these conversations, you have to listen to her and understand her point of view as well. She can, once she gets yours, it doesn't mean that we're done with the conversation. It just means now we have to have the second half of the conversation. And after you get hers, you're still not done with the conversation, because now we have to have the third half of the conversation, which is how do we both, now that we understand each other, make this work for us? And I say for us because each family is different. So so you have to make sure that whatever it is that you guys are going to do this together, and it's going to work for you. But you have to get an understanding of her point, and she has to have an understanding of yours.
I do get what she's saying.
Kirk and then Larissa.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying, and I guess I need to make it a more effort in terms of teaching them these kind of skills that you're requesting. See, I'm always in the mindset of, you know what, if I don't want to do it, pay somebody to do it. But I can't. That's for me. That's for me. And like you said, my kids may not be in the financial situation to do that for themselves, but I need to make sure that they know how to in the event that they can. So I get that. And I'll make an effort. I'll make a better effort in terms of doing better.
Woo! Go ahead, Larissa.
I like this. Thank you again, Mr. Kerr, for just being so open and transparent and vulnerable. And you got all these women looking at you, asking, answering, and asking all these husband questions. But I appreciate you for availing yourself. So thank you so much. My question is when it comes to communication, like some husbands and wives that I observe, the wife may ask the husband to do something, but the wife winds up either doing it over or being mad that it wasn't quite done to her particular standard. Mm-hmm. So it's like a dang if you do and a dang if you don't. Mm-hmm. And you just don't know what to do, so you don't do it at all. So I'm wondering, like, has that been some of your experiences as a wife or as a husband, and then how do you combat that? Because I think sometimes it's like, well, I can't do it to your standard, and you're a mighty woman anyway, so I'm just gonna let you do it. And that way we can avoid some of this friction.
Mm-hmm. I need a sticker that says that, mighty woman.
Yes. See, and I look at Tamara as a person, not even knowing Mr. Kerr, but just off of Tamara's conversation, you know that Tamara can do a lot. She can survive if she had to. On her own, she's going to find out. If she doesn't know, she's going to research. And so that's a strong personality. So then you're like, can I even meet, not Mr. Kerr specifically, but can I even rise to the occasion where I won't disappoint my spouse in how I do this? So
it's,
you know what I'm saying?
It's all of that. So it's from a standpoint of, okay, if she don't know something, she's going to research, right? She's going to do all the research and pull up all the YouTube videos to figure out how to do it. And for me, I'm a trial and error person. So that makes it kind of difficult, especially if we're trying to work together on a project. It makes it difficult because on the one side, it's this is how you do it. And on the other side, it's okay, let me try it. If I fail, I'll try something else. So it makes it difficult for us to work together. If she is to give me a task, and because of her strong personality, that task comes with instructions, which can be a bother at times, right? Again, this one
I
of
can
those
see
like,
that with
controlling
Tamara.
things. So I guess it's going back to conversation, is having a conversation of, okay, if you're asking me to do something, allow me to figure out how to do it and let me do it. If you know of a better way after I'm finished doing it, if you know of a better way and it's not up to your standards, then let's have a conversation on doing it better.
Are you intimidated by her, Kurt? Are you intimidated by her in some ways?
In some way, yes. Right? Because again, of her strong personality, she's not going to come into something without some background knowledge. And on my, I mean, even when we get things to put together, I'm not going to read any instructions. I'm going to try and put it together. And if I fail again, I'll fix it.
Half the parts be left over. Half the parts be left over. Like, no.
Stop. Stop yourself. I consider myself a pretty intelligent person that we don't have these issues. Right? But my issue is with her giving task with instructions.
Yeah.
You know? So it's knowing, okay, when to stop and ask or when to stop giving the instructions, or to ask, would you like me to tell you what I've seen?
But she also shows signs of being submissive as well, right? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Lord, Tamara.
Where we go back to the perception part. Okay. First, we have to ask him the question, what is his idea of being submissive, right? And what is Tamara's idea of being submissive? Because his perspective on that might be a little bit skewed, y'all.
No, I'm not asking someone to roll over and do what I ask, right? But I'm just asking to allow me to fail. Allow me to fail instead of, I ask you to do it this way and it was not done this way. Like you can't, like you cannot. It's like there's no room for error. And that's how it comes across sometimes, especially when she has done her research in terms of getting things done.
I think it comes back to, I'm sorry, Olivia, what Olivia had said earlier is with the husband who stopped and says, okay, this is my wife, this how she is. She's not meaning to micromanage me. She's not meaning to, say anything bad, but what she is, the intent is, okay, you're trying to do something. I know you don't like reading instructions. I like things to be done in a specific manner. So here's some instructions for you to go ahead and do this thing. I mean, I think I do a pretty good job. Like you said, a lot of things we do not do certain things together, okay? Because doing it together is more problems. But when we do try to do certain things together as well, we do have that understanding. And for the past couple things we've done together, I have been like, okay, so do you want me to give you instructions? Do you want me to give you some directions, or you want me to just let you go ahead and do what you got to do? I have done that. Yet true or false, Mr. Techie? Look, he did like, So I have done that as well, and let you do what you got to do. But you also need to understand if someone is asking you to do something, just like if you had an employer or a client, and the client asks you to make something for them, you would also be taking instructions from the client to say, hey, how exactly do you want me to do this thing? Because I want to provide you with the result that you want to have. I think it's kind of sometimes an unfair way to look at it, to say, well, I'm going to just do what I feel like doing, and I'm just going to, the way I do it, my wife has to accept it in that manner. In the same role, also, we wives sometimes definitely need to give our husbands the leeway to make the mistakes, to stumble, to fall, to do things the wrong way as well. However, this is now going to be all subjective to what has our past looked like, what has our experience looked like. We can't take just this moment and this what should happen, what could happen into account. We kind of also have to take the entirety of the relationship and how things have been going between us. What has taught your wife to have to give you instructions like this? What have you did or not done that she got to give you these instructions? What has made her feel this way? And it's prior experiences as well. So yeah, we do need to kind of make sure that we're coming back to it. But you said a couple things that I wanted to kind of get with and point out, and then Olivia, you feel free to go. And then Olivia, let us know how much more minutes we got of your time, and then you can go. Because you have several things that's going on that I'm hearing, and y'all let me know if you hear it too. Number one, the first one he said, I'd rather not attempt something than fail. Then number two, on the second side, he said, well, if I'm going to attempt something, I'm free willy-nilly with it. I really don't read the instructions or come prepared. Oh my word. So how is it that you're trying not to fail if you do not prepare yourself? You're just going to go free willy-nilly anyway. It's almost as if, okay, I'm gonna do it, and but then you said if I fail, then I'm gonna try again. But that also doesn't go well with, I'd rather not do it than fail to do it.
So,
because if I fail to do it, then how am I going to feel about doing it, and the person who asked me to do the thing in the first place as well?
okay, so we're talking, we can be talking about several different things, right?
Okay.
Me putting together a cabinet is something that I'm more willing to try than me trying to, I don't know, let's say a life skill with the kids, you know, okay, that's something that can have more long lasting effects if I fail. Mm-hmm. So that's two different things we're talking about there.
Okay.
And I may have to step away for a second. My phone is ringing, so I might have to take a call if they call back before time.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Olivia.
Larissa, I want to go back to your original question. I hope that all of this talking back and forth has helped you some with what you were asking. But one of the things is that I tell people all the time is that when you're with someone, you teach them how to treat you. We have to teach them. So if as a spouse, my husband does something and I go back and redo it, what am I telling my husband? I'm telling my husband that whatever you did is not good enough. So what does my husband do in the end? He stops doing it. The one thing that we have to realize is that just because it's not my way does not mean it's not the right way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So if Kurt can figure out how to put the cabinet together without looking at any instructions and get it correct and it works, then there's nothing wrong with that. What happens a lot of times is that they put it together and they're missing half of the pieces are still out. And then what happens is we get frustrated because we're like, if you had listened to me in the first place, it wouldn't have been a problem. But we have to allow our spouses the opportunity to do it their way and not be so impatient sometimes. It would be lovely if we all thought the same way, but we don't. It would be lovely if we all would read the manuals, but we don't. So because we don't, we have to be willing to allow for that time. So if Tamara gives him a task to do, and he says, sure, I'll do it, and he goes to do it, and she's sitting there saying, well, do it this way, do it that way, then the question, what they typically say is, well, then do it yourself. So she has to allow for that, and she has to put it in her head, he's going to do it, and we're going to see what happens. Now, for women, we are such multitaskers, and we like things done right the first time, because in our mind, that's wasted time. If he had done it right the first time, we wouldn't have to go back and redo it. It doesn't have, but we can't tell him it's wasted time, because if we start telling him that his doing it his way is wasted time, he stops doing it. Yeah. The problem is that a lot of women are very strong-willed like Tamara. And we know what we want. We know how we want it. We know when we want it. We know where we want it. We want it and we know it. And what happens is, and I tell people this even in dating, you get somebody who's the guy, all he gotta do is say, I love you, because that's what most women are looking for, somebody to love them unconditional. He says, I love you, and then you take over everything else. He was calling you to go out on a date. He was planning the dates. He said, I love you. And now you planning the rest of your life together. And he's still on the, I just decided I loved you yesterday. I didn't decide I wanted to marry you. You know, but we do that. We start taking over. Once we start taking over, what happens to the guy? He steps back. He's like, she got this. So we start training them a lot of times from the beginning that we got this. And then we wonder what happens later on when they don't step up to the plate to do anything. And it's because you basically told me to sit back because I got this. So when we have a person who's willing to do for us, we have to put in our head, it's better if he's willing to do it, then I'm going to be appreciative. So if he does it wrong, instead of the person going back and saying, oh, I'm redoing it or tell them they did it wrong, you thank them. Thank you so much for cleaning the bathroom. I really appreciate the effort that you put in there. You know, and then you can say later on, the next time you clean it, can you remember to grab the mirror? Because I noticed you missed the mirror. Or, you know, if there's something else like, oh, the toilet bowl brush is under the sink because that's what I use to clean out the toilet bowl, because maybe they use a rag and not a toilet bowl thing. You know, but that's how you do. You teach them, but you don't instruct them. There's a difference. When you're teaching them, it's more kind of instructions. Do this, do that, do da 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 da. We're not trying to do that.
That really helped a lot, especially even, you know, throwing in the dating portion for me as a wife in training, to understand that concept of still allowing them to do the things that they were doing prior to marriage.
Right.
That won your heart, that won your respect, that won your honor for them, and then trust that. But like if Tamara gives Mr. Kurt a honey to-do list, and he says, okay, I'm going to take on that list, but it's a year from now, how do you combat that? Because that's also a time frame thing too. You know, you don't want to, oftentimes men say, oh, you're nagging me, but it's not nag. I'm trying to follow up with you. Are you going to get it done, or do I take over? You know, I have so many questions. Let me mute.
No, you are fine. Someone is, I don't know, it says free your mind. Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to say, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say that I know a lot of people say, oh, she's such a strong woman, you know, she's this, she's that. There's nothing wrong with being a strong woman. Right. It's okay to be a strong woman, but at the same time, you have to learn to respect your man. Respect goes a long way. Respect goes a long way with communication. Respect goes a long way with how they react to you. Respect goes a long way with how they love you. So you can still be strong, but you have to be respectful at the same time. You have to love your man and respect him enough to know that even though if I'm a strong woman, if I say certain things, it's going to trigger things in him. And that's where your problems start.
You are so correct. And that is one of the things that, especially as African American women, we have a really hard time with that a lot of times, with being a strong woman and not knowing how to show that respect for the man and feel like we're not losing ourselves. But that is very important for us to be able to show that respect, because if we go back to the Bible, I tell people all the time, the Bible tells women to respect their men, because there are so many women who really don't respect their leadership role. They don't respect them. And the Bible tells men to love their wives, because once you love your wife, she's got your back. Once you respect your husband, he's got your back. Men stand taller when they feel respected by their wives. They have an air about them when they feel respected. You can tell a man who feels respected by his wife and one who doesn't, even just by looking at them. So you're very right. That is extremely important that we show that respect. Larissa, back to your question about the honey-do list. I always tell people, oh, I cannot remember I always forget the name of this movie. It's the one where the whales got trapped and they were trying to untrap the whales, but there's a part in there, huh?
Free Willy?
No, not Free Willy. It's big whales or big something. So it was something. But there's a part in there that I love where she wanted her husband to do something. And what she played it so well with the way she talked with him, she was like, oh, well, of course I would not expect you to do that. That's giving away money and that's da da da. And people might think this about you. And when she finished, he was like, I'm going to do it. And he just sat there and told her what he was not going to do. But when she finished her conversation, he was like, I'm going to do it. A lot of times when we give them the honey to-do list, we want it done today. But if you give him a honey to-do list, you say, oh my gosh, I cannot wait till that house get painted that blue because I can see it in my eyes. It'll look so beautiful when it get painted blue. And I'm going to be so, oh my goodness, I can't wait until that happens. But you don't say, we ain't going to paint, we ain't going to paint, we ain't going to paint, we ain't going to paint. You don't say, if you don't paint, I'm going to get it done myself. But what you do is you talk about encouragement. An example that I used for one of my clients once before, because she was saying her husband was not being very responsible. And I said and she was, would take over. And because she would take over, he sat back and let her do. And I said to her, I said, let me explain how this works. If your husband is the one that's supposed to pay the bills and he did not pay the light bill and the lights are turned off, as his wife, you grab the children and you grab candles and you say, oh, tonight we're having dinner by candlelight or family night by candle. You don't say, can you believe your daddy didn't pay the light bill? You don't say, oh my gosh, this is why I can't let you do anything. You embrace that. And what happens the next day? If he didn't have money for the light bill, he gonna go hustle some money for the light bill because you did not make him feel inept. You made him feel like, hey, we got this. I can, and that's your role. And when we talk about being helpmeets, that's where your role is. Your role is not to make him feel like Boo Boo the Clown. Your role is to make him feel like, hey, I trust that you have us. So even if he doesn't do it right then and there, even if he doesn't do it right, you never put him down. And we are very guilty of putting down our men. And we put them down in front of themselves. How could you not do that? What were you thinking? Why didn't you give me da da da? We do that. And we don't think anything about it because in our mind, I would have never done that. How dumb can you be? I would have never done that. How did that happen? So we have to remember that the whole goal for being married, besides companionship, is to help improve somebody else's self-worth. Your job is to make him.
I think I didn't hear that. My
okay.
With this. Will you say?
Yeah, you are to help improve his self-worth, just like he's to help improve your self-worth.
And we think that kind of dialogue. It's not that I don't know. It's like you're telling somebody what. It's like you're lavishing on the honey to every word, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. To me, it's like that's foreign.
It is, and you know what? It is. I do a communication skill group that I crack up. My clients, they are so funny when they come in, because a lot of times what I will do is I'll say, okay, I'm going to be you, and I'm going to tell you what I think you're trying to say. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly it. I said, yeah, but we don't talk that way. We don't use the I statements. We don't use, honey, I feel disrespected when you ask me to do something and you give me a list of instructions in order to do it. It makes me feel as if I am not, it makes me feel as if you don't believe that I have the ability to do this without your instructions. If I say that to a person, how do you feel about that? It didn't put you on the defensive. It made you think, wow, she feels disrespected. She feels like I don't think she has a brain. Well, that's not what I'm saying. When I give you instructions, of course I think you have a brain. Of course I think but we don't talk that way. And as much as I try to teach people how to talk that way, and when people do it, they're like, oh my gosh, we had such a great conversation, because you only talked about how you felt. We don't talk about how we feel. We talk about what you did to me.
So, Olivia, can we Can we submit what we want to say to you? You create the ice statement and send it back to us?
No.
Who's game for that?
No, we cannot do that.
Like we'll be in the middle of an argument. Like, hold on, I need an ice statement. I gotta call Olivia. Olivia, I need an ice statement.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Olivia said, do this. Don't back up and breathe. What you're saying is you ain't gonna do it.
Yes. Y'all, okay, so this is
Olivia, what is the class group that you have, and how can we
get in
on that? Because I need to learn how to communicate. When I finally do get married, I need to stay married, be married happy.
All right, then. The group is actually.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the group is actually the one that I do with our church members. So I don't actually have a group unless you come for counseling to see me. But I don't know where you are, but I sure could probably figure something out for you. Yes, Miss Tamara.
We will. So what I want y'all to do, and I got to run to the door real quick. But what I want y'all to do in the meantime is just kind of write in the chat section, those that are on YouTube, something that you have learned from this session, something that you gleaned from the session as well. And really quickly, for everybody on here, one at a time, Olivia, you can call on them while I'm away, and just what did you also glean? If you want to share, just raise your hand, and Olivia will call on you. Let me run to the door.
Okay. Oh. Anybody want to share something that they gleaned? I'm not on YouTube. I'm on the Zoom. So if it's somebody on YouTube, Kurt, you can let them.
Okay.
I'll share. I really enjoy this, and again, I appreciate your time as well as the McAllisters for just being so transparent and letting us have a window view of their communication and marriage. But I think one thing I really have understood is that it's okay to allow someone else to step up to the plate and to do it to where they feel honored and respected, and to know that there will be opportunities to improve upon that. But I think the biggest thing is just the thing that you just talked about, how to talk, because my definition of respect is it's a little bit different, but learning how to convey that I respect you as my mate, as my spouse, and lift them up in doing so. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned. And that it's okay to be a strong woman. It's just a communication skill and such.
Awesome.
Amen, Larissa. Amen, sister. Anyone else?
That's it. I mean, looking at the YouTube, I mean, you're getting comments that communication is key, not pointing out what the other person don't do, but focus on what they do. What else we got here? Is that basically on the honey-do list is it's not as important as your time, I guess. Because you may ask me to do something, but I don't have that time right then and there to get it done. Are you willing to say, well, okay, if you're not able to get it done, I can accept it at a later date, but this is my deadline of when I need it completed by?
Hold on, that was a whole lot. That was a whole lot in that statement. I don't think I remember half the words to tell you what I said. You ain't gonna do it or not. That's what that's where I get that point. And then I lose it. See, so I need to take.
But why lose it? I mean, you're asking me to do something, but you don't know what what's on my task to get done. Should I drop what I have to do to get yours done?
My perspective is you ain't doing nothing.
But that's your perspective.
Just weave it in.
When I'm looking at you ain't doing nothing.
But that could be your perspective. Maybe today might be that day that you said, you know what? I had a hard week and I just want some alone time, just relaxing today.
The thing about the honeydew list the thing about the honeydew list is that, well, the thing is that you should, first of all, we get so excited about honeydew list, it's a mile long, shucks. If it's 2 things on there, then you say, honey, is it possible for you to get the grass cut between now and Friday? You know, and then they say, sure, I can get it done between now and Friday, and then you leave it alone. I don't care if they don't, if you ask them that on Sunday and they wait till Friday to do it and they was home Tuesday and Wednesday doing nothing. You said, could you do it between this time frame? And a lot of times we don't do that. We just expect them to do it right then and there. And then they may have other things, because like you said, what your timetable is not necessarily my timetable. So, but we have to be willing to, again, the one thing I keep telling people, if you learn how to communicate, you can resolve so many problems, because, and if you hear each other, because if he says, well, you know what, I have a big project at work this week and I'm going to be stressed out, there's no way I can get it done, but I can get somebody else to do it, or I can get the boys to do it if it's cutting the grass or what have you. But we have to be able to say that. We give a list and say, I want this done and I want it done yesterday. And they're like, huh, well, you know what? Yesterday it ain't happening, and we get upset about it.
Right.
And we can't do that.
Yeah. So in other words, have a solution in the question that you're asking.
Right.
To help them.
Yeah, to help and to help you. Because
but you can't let them know that you're helping him.
Right. There you go. You can't.
Right.
But it's not real. But the thing is that it shows respect for them as well. Again, they don't want to feel like you're telling them what to do. So if you give me a honey-do list and you say, oh, this need to all be done by Friday, I'm like, hold up, you gave me 30 things to do by Friday. What about my thing? But if you have a honey-do list and you say, hey, I would love for all this to be done in the next 2 weeks. I understand that you have a lot of stuff going on. Is there something, when can you do, or these are the 5 that's important, or whatever it is. You know, you don't give them 30 things and say, get it all done. That's like they say you're talking to your kid. Yes, Diamond.
Okay. So, Mr. Techie, I'm asking you a question. I don't know if you're busy this week. So between Monday and Friday, could you get the grass cut? Whichever way you get it cut, it doesn't matter. As long as it gets cut by Friday, because I'm having something on Saturday, if that's okay with you. I think that was really good, no?
That was good, Diamond. That was good.
That was a good try. Really that was a very good try. Yes, I'll be more inclined to assist with and making sure that it get done.
Because by Saturday, I'm pulling it all up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so a couple more of the comments on here. Is Sabrina learned to watch her tone and her facial expression. Raise your hands if you're guilty of the facial expression. And Lord. Show more respect to him and for him. That's Sheila as well. Effective communication is important. I think Kirk mentioned that. Listening is an important skill, and I'm learning as well. So also we have, who said they were, Jamila, she said her husband and her, they're actually listening to it and agreeing with the words of others. This helped a great deal to show me his thoughts and vice versa. Communication and perception is what she learned as well. That's good in here. So I love it. We have really enjoyed this. We're not gonna take up too much of Olivia's time because we don't want to wear her out. We want her to come back again. We will decide on another topic, right, ladies? And we will see if she will come back with us again and just kind of be here to guide us. So next is going to be the ladies that's probably going to be in the hot seat with some topics, because I really do think if we have a group of us together that can really counsel each other, not really like professional counseling each other, but to say, this is how you find out what respect means to your spouse. These are ways that you can show respect to your spouse, right? These are things you can probably do. Let me help you to make some I statements, communication, all that stuff. So all these different topics, if we can help ourselves, help each other, improve on this, then I think it will be beneficial to our life. Do y'all think so too?
Yes.
Amen. Cindy, go ahead, make your statement.
Larissa asks, how do we get rid of facial expressions? We can't, we're women. That's just it, point blank and serious. We can't, we're women, and that's in us to give you facial expression, because that saves you from getting something else. You get the facial reaction, take it and run with that, and that's it. I remember my mom when she was alive, she would give me a facial reaction and I knew to back up. So that's just something that's in us, facial expression.
Right.
Yeah.
Lisa, you got something to say, baby? Oh, she was just raising her hands. Okay. Okay. Yes. So facial expressions, I'm not even going to attempt to try to get rid of them. I don't even think that's possible. Like, y'all see me on the morning tea all day, every day. Like, whether even when I don't mean to, if I'm not saying anything, my face be like. So facial expressions, I don't know. I'm just going to try to say, just excuse the facial expression. It might look cray. It doesn't mean I'm not listening.
Yeah, because this is one reason why I don't like to do video chat, because even when I'm not trying to make facial expressions, I make them. And that's one of the biggest things that people tell me since I've been a kid. So it's not even me being in a disagreement with my significant other. I make expressions. So I'm sensitive to that when people say, oh, your expressions. But okay, I'm glad to hear that you guys have that too.
Yes. Maybe we could just all choose to just smile. So whenever we're having a conversation, you just smile, and it's like, okay,
Nah, then we're gonna look psychotic. They're
gonna ask you, why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? This ain't funny.
That's funny, right?
Okay,
you don't have my smile or my true facial expression, because one of them gonna be wrong. So
okay. So thank you to everyone that sent over the love offering for Olivia. I will go ahead and get that to her as quickly as possible. I so appreciate it. My husband, Mr. Techie, thank you so much for your time as well.
Yes, thank
you.
you
For being open with us ladies and let us question you as well. I do hope that everyone got something from this live session, and I'm hoping that those of you who are on YouTube that weren't able to come on here as well on the Zoom is able to do it. So look, Dawn says Tamara's facial expression is infectious in a good way. Tara says how we treat our husbands is what our sons see for a healthy relationship as well. And Nico says women need to see that her way is not the only right way to get things done as well. That's what she's got from the meeting. So y'all, I appreciate this. We're gonna have an amazing rest of the day today. It is Friday. Woot woot. So we get
this
the weekend
awesome.
party. I'm glad that you all were here. So thanks again, everybody, and let's pray to close out, and then we're gonna end. Kirk, you're gonna have to tell me. I think, okay, end meeting. I was like, how do I end this thing? So let's pray to close out. Father, Lord, we thank you for giving us this time once more, Heavenly Father, where we can fellowship with each other, where we can openly communicate with each other in love and in understanding and in patience, Father, Lord. So help us to take the nuggets that we have learned today and be sure to use them to improve upon ourselves and therefore improving upon our relationship. Heavenly Father, continue to work with us. We need you. We need you more than ever to help us to get all the tools that we need so we can have a wonderful relationship with our spouses, with our family members, with our children, Father, Lord. Oh my goodness. We ask that we will be able to exemplify the example that your son Christ has set by loving the church in such a special manner, and us, the church, being submissive to him and to his goodwill and his good desires. We thank you for the blessings that you have given to us going in coming in and going out, while we're sitting, while we're standing. We thank you so much for traveling mercies when we're going out to run errands, to work, whatever it might be, oh God. Please bless those that are on the front line, those that are on the sideline, the top of the line, the back of the line, all over that are out there, Father Lord, fighting for our health to keep us safe right now. Those that are in the development stages of vaccines and all these other things, Father Lord, you know that you've given them the skills and the talent. So we ask that you put a special covering over them, Father Lord. Let no harm come to them nor their families. In the mighty name of Jesus, we ask these things and we thank you in advance. Amen. Amen. Let the church say amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody.
Amen.
See
Amen.
y'all
Thanks, everybody.
later.
Thank you
Good
so much.
seeing
This
everybody.
was
Thank you,
awesome.
Thank you, Olivia.
Mitra,
Thank you.
Janae, Nita.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk.
Bye. Bye, Larissa.
Bye.
Have a good day,
Diamond.
everyone.
Great weekend.
Yes. Good to see
Bye,
you,
Tomboy.
Marley and Kim. Free your mind.
Yes. Bye, Sharon.